For nearly 40 years, Southern Baptists have been descending on the host city before the annual meeting for a focus on evangelism through Crossover. Crossover is our evangelistic outreach initiative preceding each annual meeting. Every year, the North American Mission Board and Sin Relief partner with state conventions, associations, and local churches to saturate the host city of the convention with evangelistic events. Volunteers from across the country arrive in the city a few days prior to the annual meeting to participate alongside local church members. Join us on this episode of The Road to Dallas, presented by Southwestern Seminary, as we walk through the details of this year's Crossover event. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Road to Dallas, presented by Southwestern Seminary. Got a great episode for you this week as we talk about Crossover. And to do that, we've invited our good friend Ryan Jesperson, who is the Executive Director of the Dallas Baptist Association. Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan, for having me.
I'm so excited to be talking this week about Crossover. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about the DBA and what you do there. I know you've only been there a few years, but a lot of churches involved in the Dallas Baptist Association, and not just your association, but several others in the Metroplex area.
Right. So Dallas Baptist Association has about 450 churches that are part of our association, and probably in this entire area, there's a couple of thousand SBC churches that are here. And so at the Dallas Baptist Association, we really kind of focus on three different specific areas, or at least we're doing that in this year and really every year. So we're doing church planting, which is a huge part of what we do. We're doubly blessed in Texas with 2 state conventions, so try to work with both of them on church planting, and then church renewal is a big part of what we do. And what we're really doing as an association is we're really trying to come alongside those churches and have the relationship with those pastors as they are planting the church, trying to find church renewal. And then really our third big area for this year is pastor connection, trying to make sure that all pastors in our association, we're literally going to take the list of 150 churches next year, and we're going to look at, are these pastors connected, not just in one of the groups we have, but both state conventions have groups. I know the Pastors Conference, the SBC Pastors Conference is working on connecting pastors. We want to make sure that pastors have a connection, certainly to the association, to their convention, but then also to each other. That's very, very important to us. And so we love the work we get to do here and are grateful for the churches that support us. And we do exist for those churches.
Yeah. And that's so great to see in a local association being that intentional about connecting with its churches and its pastors. And one of the ways that Southern Baptists connect with the city that we host the annual meeting in is through Crossover. And, a lot of times the local association very involved in that, as you are this year. So talk to us a little bit about how Crossover is going to work this year in Dallas. And then, we'll kind of get into some of the more details after that.
Sure. So the last time the convention came to Dallas was 2018, and we had an incredible event at that time, the Greg Laurie Harvest event, which was a great event, and many people were saved with that. This year, the focus for Crossover is really church to church evangelism. And so it is literally going to a church and saying, let's do a harvest event. And so that may be a vacation Bible school you do the week of Crossover. That may be a backyard Bible club. That may be some kind of block party you do that week. And really, as far as the North American Mission Board is concerned, I mean, if it's going to reach people for Jesus, they are willing to invest in it. And I'm so grateful that they are willing to do that. There may be some harvest events that happen on Sunday. One of the great things about Crossover is that because it happens right before the SBC annual meeting, there's lots of great preachers that are coming in. And so I would say to anyone who's watching this, kind of certainly in my association, But in any of the surrounding associations, if you think, man, if we could just get that preacher, I will go to my friend Jonathan Howe, who's the vice president of the executive committee, and we will see if we can get that preacher for you. And
Hey,
so
I'll do
we
what I
can try.
can. I'll do what I
We can
can.
always try. And so, we really wanted to focus this year on how can we do that in the church. And so love the big harvest event we did a few years ago. But this year it's going to really be focused on the church. Now we'll still do First Baptist Rockwall on the Friday night before. I think it's the Friday night. I'd have to look at when it is, but Shane Pruitt's going to do an event over there,
Okay.
so that's going to be awesome. And there'll be probably another one of those that's going to be happening. So a few larger events, but mainly focused on what is it that your church wants to do. And the great thing is, and we saw this when the Serve Tour came to Dallas, when the North American Mission Board and Baptist descend on a place, they are certainly ready to serve. And so we saw that with the Serve Tour last year, and so we're looking forward to seeing that with Crossover. My prayer for Crossover is that it would be a catalyst for many, many churches in this area who would say, hey, we can do this event, and that would sort of catalyze them towards some baptisms, and that would catalyze them towards some church revitalization and some church renewal. And so we're really, really excited, really excited about it. And I think we'll put the website, kind of up here, so you can go to NAM's website, and we'll have the exact site, I think, here. You can get signed up to host an event, or you can sign up to volunteer at an event. And so kind of depending on whether you're in kind of the focus area. So the focus area really is Dallas Association, and then every association that touches Dallas Association. And so one of the things this year, there was some conversation about whether we should limit that to Dallas, and NAM was gracious enough to say, we really want that to go into this entire DFW area. So we're hoping for hundreds of these types of events that really people are giving their lives to Christ. Because here's the reality, right? Evangelism is not that difficult. It's not that hard. And certainly relational evangelism is effective, and that kind of day-to-day evangelism. But event evangelism is oftentimes kind of that last time of sharing someone will have before they come to faith in Christ. And so we want churches to very much be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So if a church is in the area, maybe they're in your association or in another association, how can they get involved in Crossover?
So the simplest way to do that is to go to nam.net. Is it nam.net / hold on, Jonathan?
I think it's nam.net/crossover, or we link to it on the SBC Annual Meeting website. So if you just go to sbcannualmeeting.net, scroll down, you'll see Crossover, click on that, you can go right to it. And so if you want to be involved, go there, sign up as a host. And here's the great thing, right? Is that you say, well, I don't have money for that. Well, NAM can provide some money. You say, we don't have volunteers for that. Well, the whole idea is that volunteers are coming in for that. And so really, there, and I hate to use the word, there's no excuses, but there's really no excuses for a church who wants to get involved in that. And so I hope, really genuinely hope, that churches will want to jump in and be involved in that. Yeah, and now you mentioned the volunteers coming in. How can people, I guess same thing, nam.net/crossover.
Yeah, nam.net/crossover.
Yeah, if you're coming
in
from
there,
out of town,
you can get signed up as a volunteer team and be a part of that. So yeah, nam.net/crossover is the place to go.
Yeah, so you can do that. And like you said, there's a lot of different things. So don't think that, well, I don't want to go door to door. I don't want to, or I'm not gifted, or I'm limited to what I can do. There are so many different ways that you can be a part of Crossover. It can be door-to-door evangelism. I know Southwestern, we had Dr. Dockery on. He mentioned the seminary is involved. I know we have other seminaries coming in to help them out as well. So it's always a thing that our seminary students do. And there's just so many different opportunities to be able to be really the hands and feet of Jesus in the Dallas area and the entire Metroplex that weekend before the annual meeting. So, kind of as we close things out, how can people pray for Crossover, for that harvest that we may see there in Dallas?
I would just say pray for that. Pray that God would bring churches who want to be involved in this area, and that he would raise those up, and pray that God would raise up the volunteers who are supposed to come here. and to do this. Because I'll tell you, the SBC, there's all kinds of things that happen around the SBC. Obviously, sometimes, Jonathan, you may or may not know, there's sometimes controversy that happens around the SBC annual meeting. But listen, we can all agree that crossover and sharing Christ with people prior to that meeting is perhaps the most important thing we're going to do as a part of that. And so I would invite you to come. I'd invite you to be a part of it. I'd invite you to pray and get in touch with us if you want to be a part of that. We want to do that.
Yeah, like the charter of the SBC says, we come together for the propagation of the gospel. And that's what crossover is all about, taking the gospel to those who need it. Ryan, thanks again for joining us this week. Before we go, do want to just give you a chance. Like, we got 12 to 15,000 Southern Baptists coming to town. You live there. What are some things that they need to check out? Maybe give us a couple of Ryan's favorite places to eat there.
My favorite place to eat, not all my pastors love it, is El Phoenix in Dallas. El Phoenix in Dallas literally created Tex-Mex. And so that's where I'd go. Of course, you have Pecan Lodge here, which is really good. Lots of good places. And of course, we don't have, I know the next year we're going somewhere with some sort of theme park. But we do have Six Flags.
Yeah, we talked
we have Six
about
Flags.
that.
Six Flags. And I promise you, you can buy a season pass and stay all summer for the cost of one day at Disney. So we would love to have you come and do that. So it's you have Cowboy Stadium, which you can go take a tour of. Yeah. And, go to the seminary, take a tour of that. Yeah. Dallas Baptist University I think is the most beautiful campus in this country. And so I would love
no favoritism there. No.
Do what now?
No favoritism.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's right. So it's a good deal.
All right. Well, hey, those are great suggestions. We've covered a lot of those on some of our episodes. It's the first mention of El Phoenix, but I do know there's a certain seminary president in Louisville, Kentucky, that absolutely loves El Phoenix. That's like his number one restaurant in the Dallas area. So, so that is a restaurant that I'm surprised it's taken this long to come up on the show. So anyway,
I had lunch there today.
Oh, there you go. So lucky you. I had a kind of a smattering of charcuterie for lunch today. It was interesting. So Ryan, thanks again for joining us this week, man. We're looking forward to seeing you. Can't wait to see Crossover and see what God does through the churches there in Dallas.
Amen. God bless you, Jonathan. Thank you.
All right. And as always, thank you for watching this week's episode of The Road to Dallas, presented by Southwestern Seminary, whose core values are grace-filled and Christ-centered, scripturally grounded and confessionally guided, student-focused, and globally engaged. You can learn more about Southwestern at swbts.edu. We'll see you right here next time on The Road to Dallas, presented by Southwestern Seminary.